Hi everybody, this is Julia from abbasheart.net. I'm here with part 6 of my testimony. So whenever I'd return from a date with John, my roommate T would give me the silent treatment. This was totally awkward because she lived in a very small apartment and she would just give me yes or no answers, wouldn't look me in the eye, and it's not like I could avoid her in this small place. It also became awkward because whenever John would pick me up for a date, T would dress inappropriately, like in really short shorts and just bend over in front of him and just do things that were not appropriate. And then also too, when I would get back from dates, I would find myself locked out of the house. Items of clothing would be missing when I'm getting ready for a date. And I noticed it was happening all over again. Only this time, scarily enough, she was being way more blatant about wanting the guy that I was seeing. Before it was very covert, I had no idea it was happening. This time it was very aggressive behavior. And it just broke my heart because I had forgiven her and now it was happening all over again. And I realized it didn't matter that I'd forgiven her. She hadn't changed. And so I needed to do something about it. On another level, I was very fearful because I knew that T was very involved with Santeria. So she would do rituals to bless her as she went to work to make more money, and she believed in the evil eye. And because I saw such evil and darkness, so close in my living space, with her acting this way, I was worried that maybe she would pay this woman to put a curse on me, because that's kind of how that religion works. And I wasn't gonna put it past her that she wasn't capable of that. So I got really nervous and I began to explain my situation to John. He didn't know why I was living with this girl. We were a new couple at this time, but John was very kind and he was very confident. And what I loved about him is that nobody pushed him around. When I told him the history of what I had been through with T, he was baffled as to why I would have forgiven her in the first place and allowed her back into my life and put myself back into this position. I went into defense mode. I said, forgiveness is important. I don't want to become bitter. I think it's ugly. Besides, I really love my goddaughter and everybody makes mistakes and we need to forgive. But John said to me, but you don't need to be a doormat. Your unhealthy boundaries are the source of your problems. My mom is a very kind person. She was the one who taught me to forgive, but she also allowed people to walk all over her in ministry, in friendships. Her kindness was actually the very thing that I felt was her weakness, and people took advantage of that. And that's never the life that I wanted for myself. And I saw that my habits and my people pleasing, not wanting to hurt people's feelings, wanting to be a forgiver, all of these things they're good qualities to have. They're not bad qualities to have. But if you don't have wisdom and discernment, you can really, the enemy will allow these qualities inside of you to literally take you down. So this is what John says to me. He's like, a true friend will honor you. They won't have to be perfect, but when they show you who they really are, you must believe them. You've got to be strong enough to walk away, to hold out for something better. And I thought, wow, this is really interesting. His words are verbatim of what Grace had told me, to hold out for this right man. And this right man is now giving me that same advice. So that resonated with me. And I just began to think, just like the man I choose, the friends I allow into my life matter too, because they could take me down a path I don't want to be on. My relationship with John blossomed. He encouraged me to let go of toxic, superficial friends. It was hard, but I told myself I had John, so maybe one friend is better than a bunch of bad friends. After 2 years of dating, John and I got married. Things were going well. We lived in a gorgeous condo in one of the nicest high-rise buildings in downtown Chicago called River North. John also shared the dream of one day owning investment property, and we began working towards these dreams together. John would be asleep at night, and I would run my fingers through his hair, and I would just marvel at how John was everything I prayed for and even more. And this began to give me such deep conviction. I mean, I began to think, how can I dishonor God and my marriage by dancing for strange men? This job that I was comfortable with, I was bringing such a great income, I was doing very well in, it just didn't feel right. It was never right. But now it was even more wrong. And I began to start to go into a depression again. And every single time that I would go to work, I would get this deep anxiety whenever I drive up to the front of the club. And it would take everything within me to just walk through that door. It was so hard to walk through that door. And the job began to feel like a literal curse. John did not really have a background with God. So I would tell him, you don't understand. You're the answer to prayers. Like, I know that God is real. Like, I don't even doubt it anymore because I see that you are literally the answer to my prayers. And he would just go, what are you talking about? Like, people meet and fall in love all the time. Then one week, our lives took a really sharp turn. John was in LA for an acting job. When John's working, he never calls. So I knew something strange was going on when he called. I picked up the phone, and sure enough, his voice was shaking as he shared the news that our friend Craig had died suddenly of a heart attack. Craig was about my age. So this despair that I felt began to hit an all-time low. I called off of work, and even though it was raining, I walked down to Michigan Avenue to just buy myself something pretty. But nothing seemed to do the trick. After a while, I headed home with bags of nonsense. I don't even remember what I bought. I just knew that I felt worse than I did when I left, and nothing was getting this icky feeling off of me. I was alone in my condo, unable to shake the question, was I ready to die? What if that were me? A voice buried deep within answered, go get your Bible your mom gave you. My mom had given me a Bible about a decade before, and it was buried on this shelf, and it had dust on it, but I knew exactly where it was. I just saw it in my mind's eye. I remember thinking, it's been so long. I don't even know where to look in this thing. But I instantly recalled my mother always telling me when I was growing up, if you find yourself lost, the Bible will be your compass. Whatever questions you have, this book has the answer. God speaks through his word. So I challenged God. I said, okay, my mom says you speak through your word. If you have something to say, I'm listening. I cracked through the new binding, fanning through the pages, randomly landing my finger on one section. And this is what I read. And if your eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with one eye than to have two eyes and be thrown into the fires of hell. Matthew 18:9. Now that was not what I wanted to see. It didn't make me feel good. It actually made me feel even worse. So I told God, God, that's not what I wanted to hear. I'm going to give you one more chance. So I did it again. I just flipped through the Bible and randomly put my finger on another Bible verse. And this is the Bible verse that I landed on. If your hand causes you to stumble, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life maimed than with two hands and go into hell, where the fire never goes out. Mark 9:43. This is a totally different part of the Bible. And it's basically the same verse. God was speaking to me. He was confirming that this message was for me, even if it wasn't what I wanted to hear. In essence, it was saying that by choosing to continue dancing, I had chosen my God. That was an idol in my life. Suddenly, it felt as if 1,000 eyes were on me. It felt like that time when I was alone in my apartment after playing with the Ouija board. The voice began prodding again. Call your mother. I argued with it. I can't call my mom. It's 3 a.m. She's got work tomorrow morning. that feeling would not go away. And I was so creeped out that I crawled into my bed with the phone. Hello? Mom, I'm so sorry to wake you. It's been a while since we've talked, but I'm reading the Bible and I think God is speaking to me. Then I felt my arms raise above my head by a force. And it was as if my hands were tied to the post with an invisible rope. They could not be released from this position. And my legs were the same way. They were just whoosh. I could feel something grab them, and then it was like they were tied, but I couldn't see what they were tied by. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, Mom, you bitch. This voice that was not mine, it was a male voice, comes out of me. And then I just interrupt this voice and I'm like, Mom, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to say that. And then all of a sudden, I hate you. And I felt the room temperature rise about 10 degrees within a matter of seconds. My chest heaved as I roared, growled, cursed, and thrashed about the bed, unable to loosen my hands and legs from these invisible restraints. Mommy, help me. What's happening?